This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Browns have made another big signing, getting their safety. For those of you who wanted a safety, this was the realm of safety that I thought they would get. A lot of people had the Browns pegged for somebody like Jesse Bates. I thought something in this class would make more sense, not just on the football field, but also, when it came to getting these contracts and being able to fit these players. And I thought this was going to be something that made a lot of sense here. Juan Thornhill is what they ultimately decided to go with. It seems like the price on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going up, with the Eagles really hell bent on keeping him. And I don't know what's going on with Jordan Poyer's price or anything else like that, but they also feel like Juan Thornhill is younger. Thing with Juan Thornhill is he has had a little bit of inconsistent production. You could say that. He has played 4 years in the NFL, had one bad season in 2020, but that was the COVID year, so we can kind of be a little bit more forgiving for that. He was really high in missed tackles that year. His missed tackle percentage has gone down every year, which is good. And his tackles have gone up every year, which is good. And his grades have relatively stayed around the same. When he's healthy, he's about a 70 grade player. It's kind of why the Chiefs aren't really trying to break the bank to re-sign him. Also why, he's available, but I think he's the kind of player that's available at the right price. Now, I'm not sure what the figures are. I'm going to try to find out the figures as this video goes along, but this is another move kind of in a direction of what we were thinking. And again, we do this every year with Andrew Berry, where people get convinced that he doesn't do a good job or that he doesn't address needs. And look, defensive tackle had been one of those places, one of the few places, in my opinion, where he has not delivered. But also look at the circumstances that led up to him not delivering on those defensive tackles, and that was simply the coaching, right? When the coaching staff does not emphasize defensive tackle play, unless you draft Aaron Donald, it doesn't matter who you it doesn't matter, because you're not going to develop anybody to be a decent defensive tackle in those circumstances. So who knows? Jordan Elliott might be a decent player. Perion Winfrey probably is going to be a good player, right? They just were drafted into the wrong situation, and now that's getting corrected. We had the figures here on Juan Thornhill's contract. Two-time Super Bowl winner Juan Thornhill has agreed to a contract with the Browns on 3 years, $21 million, with $14 fully guaranteed at signing in the first 2 years. So it's really a 2-year contract. Whenever you hear fully guaranteed first 2 years, that's the actual length of the contract. That third year is there for cap purposes, more than likely. It's unlikely he will see a third year of that deal. And Juan started 52 games for the Chiefs. Big addition for the Cleveland Browns here, courtesy of Arrowhead Pride. And again, and courtesy of Tom Pelissaro too. Again, decent signing there too. So you're talking about getting $14 million for your starting defensive tackle in Dalvin Tomlinson, and then you roll around and you get a starting safety for $7 million. So for $21 million, you filled both of those holes versus going out and getting Javon Hargrave, where you would have filled one of those holes. Now, some people would still prefer to have Javon Hargrave. I'm not 100,000% convinced that I wouldn't just rather have Javon Hargrave, but that's how they've chosen to allocate this money. They have spread it around to safety and defensive tackle. I have no problem with that. I think that's a viable strategy for success going forward. And again, We act as if this team has not been willing to fix its problems. But the one thing I give Andrew Berry credit for is that every offseason he has inherited some kind of a catastrophic problem. He's inherited every year some kind of catastrophic problem, right? To whatever he's trying to do, right? His first year, the offensive line he took over from 2019 to 2020, that was a terrible offensive line. He had to be the guy who fixed that, right? Remember my videos at the time were saying the small pieces are what's wrong with this team. We got the big pieces, the small pieces are what's wrong with this team. He gets the small pieces, right? He signs a starting right tackle. He keeps Wyatt Teller, and he signs a center, and then boom, all of a sudden, the offensive line is the best offensive line in football. People don't give Andrew Berry credit for that, or people try to act like he has no credit in that, but he's the one who fixed the offensive line. 2019, John Dorsey's offensive line that some people love, that also choose to hate on Andrew Berry. John Dorsey left that offensive line an absolute S show, right? Just a mess. And then Andrew Berry inherited it and turned it into one of the best offensive lines of football through free agency. Say what you want. In the draft, he drafted Jed Wills. He got a right tackle and then got a guard. Everybody who wants to poo-poo on Jed Wills acts like Jed Wills wasn't an important piece to that offensive line dramatically changing. Remember what it was with Greg Robinson, and remember what it is now with Jed Wills. It's a different world that we live in there. As much as you think Jed Wills is not a good player, our floor drops significantly if Jed Wills is not the left tackle. We need to understand that. I know he got the clips and he got terrible body language, and some of y'all don't like how he doesn't appear to hustle all the time, but sometimes the perception isn't the reality. Then 2021, the team has a good year in 2020, but what was the big problem? The defense. Now, did he fix the defense? In some ways. Did he fix everything? No, because Joe Woods was still here, right? That was part of the problem. But roster-wise, I wasn't complaining about the defense going into the season on the roster. I was hype about the defensive roster, right? You added Jadeveon Clowney. You added, we didn't know about Malik McDowell, so that's not fair to add, but you added Anthony Walker. You added a bunch of pieces. I thought defensively, that was solid, right? Greg Newsome in the draft. Thought that was a very solid pick. JOK, really excited about that. We have not complained about the talent on defense being the problem. We've complained about the coordinator, and they didn't make that move. But roster-wise, Andrew Berry did his thing. And in 2022, after that season, what were we complaining about? What were we complaining about in 2022? The quarterback. What did we go out and get in 2022? A quarterback, right? The best one available at the time, the youngest and the best, right? Deshaun Watson, they got him. So we complain a lot about Andrew Berry, and I get it. Sometimes you just need somebody to complain to or complain about. But every year he has tried to address the problems aggressively. Trades for Amari Cooper to fix wide receiver. Did it fix all the problems? No. You can't fix everything by the roster. But did he make a significant effort to fix those problems? Yes. Right? And then we move to this year. What are the two things we're complaining about? Defensive coordinator, fixed that, got Jim Schwartz. Then what else are we complaining about? Defensive tackle, got Dalvin Tomlinson, probably going to get a couple more guys. And what else are we complaining about? Free safety, gets Juan Thornhill. I say this all the time, and I want to say it until it sticks with some people. The perception of what the Cleveland Browns are from its fans and from fans outside the NFL and from what people who work in the NFL think could not be more different, right? People in the NFL think of Cleveland as a very good, well-run organization under Andrew Berry, Dee Podesta, and Kevin Stefanski. I think that's a well-run operation. People in Cleveland might differ, but the people in the league that know what goes on, those people tend to think that Andrew Berry's doing a great job. When you look at what this team needs and how every year we're making aggressive but still like responsible moves for positions we need, and somebody's going to be like, oh, you think it's responsible to trade for a quarterback and spend that much money? Yes. Quarterbacks don't come cheap. You're not getting a quarterback on a deal. And honestly, like, do you want the quarterback you can get on a good deal? We've had quarterbacks on good deals before. It ain't never worked out. So I don't want to hear that. But every year he's been aggressive and he's filled the hole. Every year, I just literally went through every year. What was the big problem? He got offensive line fixed in 1 year. Defensively, he fixed the roster. We were complaining about the roster on defense. We were starting, Andrew Sadeo, fixed the roster on defense. 2021, we complained about the quarterback and the offense. Got new wide receivers, extended David Njoku, and a new quarterback. Now we complaining about the defense again, and we complaining about D tackle and safety. We fixed that. There is a strong track record here of 4 years of him fixing everything that's wrong with the team in the offseason. That's the sign of a good GM. I think Andrew Berry's a really good GM. And I think every offseason. And look, people want to point to his drafts, but the draft isn't the most important. Well, it's one of the more important things he does, but it's not the only thing that he does. And honestly, he's been fine in his draft. But here is really where he shines. He does really well in free agency. He does really well in trades. And he does pretty good in the draft. This is a good GM, y'all. But that's my thoughts on the Juan Thornhill signing. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. You have a great day. Have a good night.